So Bhante, thank you and good morning for coming all the way from Malacca. He lives in Malacca and of course he studies here at the University of Malaya doing his PhD. Bhante Gunarathana is a 47-year-old monk who hails from the Anuradhapura district in Sri Lanka. Received his Bachelor of Arts degree, first class honors from the University of Kelaniya. Then in 2002, he completed his Masters of Arts degree and then a Masters of Philosophy degree in 2012 in the field of Buddhist logic. In addition to that, he has completed a postgraduate diploma and a diploma in Buddhist psychology at the Postgraduate Institute of the University of Kelaniya. He has worked as a visiting lecturer at several universities in Sri Lanka, including the University of Colombo, the Bhikshu University in Anuradhapura, and the Buddhist and Pali University in Sri Lanka. He currently works as a senior lecturer in Pali and Buddhist studies in the department of in the Buddhist Studies Department of the University of Kelaniya. He's also worked as a researcher at the Dhamma Institute in Thailand for a year. Bhante has also presented in over 20 research papers in Sinhala, English, and Pali at local and foreign conferences. He's one of the few scholars in Sri Lanka who can speak Pali fluently. He has published several books in Sinhala and in English mediums, some of which include Buddhist Mechanism of Socialization, a study based on the Sutta Pitaka, and an analysis of traditional Pali logic are basically some of them, the titles of these books. Bhante is currently pursuing a PhD at the University of Malaya. So without much ado, I'd like to invite Bhante to start this morning's sharing. The title of the talk is Discourse on Advantages of Cultivating Loving Kindness based on the Metta Sutta. Yeah? Bhante?
Good morning, everybody. Dear brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, thank you very much for inviting me and welcoming me. Introduction is too much, that is a tad challenge. So anyway, I do my best in sense of this Dhamma talking. The topic is quite interesting, as you know, because everybody asking what is loving kindness, how to spread loving kindness, what is the method or what the way of that to practice loving kindness as well. So that's why it is quite interesting. And also I thought that to talk about the loving kindness, not only we have to use the discourses, but also the commentaries. So commentaries are important because in Theravada tradition, we do not use not only the Pali, the discourses, but also the commentaries and sub-commentaries as well. Because the clarification or the explanation, on the other hand, the formulas are reflected in the commentaries and also the sub-commentaries. So the people who involved with this subject do not use the commentaries and the sub-commentaries and even the chronicles. So, but I'm going to do some the relevant commentaries here, and I'm not using the sub-commentaries here. If necessary, we can do that. And also, this is my first Dhamma talk in the Brickfield Temple. I mean, I have been here several times as I have been working here as an invigilator in the university level, in the academic, but this is my first time, that's why I'm a little bit of nervous. Okay, let's see how Buddha introduced the Metta. Metta is the important fact reflected in the Pali discourses. So I would like to introduce the 5 statements regarding the metta, then we can identify what the significance of the metta or the loving kindness, and also how it related to the compassion, karuna finally. What are the advantages, the consequences are important as well here. So in first Dhammapada, the next time we are going to discuss on the Dhammapada. Dhammapada mentions that mettang bhavaitan cittang sabba sankhara sukhani. This is one statement reflected how metta is there. So this is one such. Before go to the discourses, this is also important. Dhammapada is a book, as a handbook, included in the Kuddaka Nikaya. There are 15 texts in the Kuddaka Nikaya. Dhammapada is one such. So usually as Buddhist, we use the Dhammapada to know something more as Buddhist. So this is one such. What is the meaning of that? The mind imbued with loving kindness is the source of all happiness. So loving kindness is the source of all happiness. We are searching for the happiness. So there is something related to the Nibbana that is also a kind of happiness as well. That is we call the Niramisa Piti. Niramisa means the not attached to the 5 aggregates. It's not attached. That the happiness related to the detachment. That is called the Niramisa Piti. But as ordinary people, we have the different type of happiness. So without considering the happiness, somebody says that Buddhism is pessimism. Pessimism. Always talking about the dukkha. Always talking about unhappiness of this world, unsatisfactoriness of this world, emptiness of this world. This is what Buddhism emphasizes. That's why some people misinterpret that Buddhism is a pessimism. But as you know, Buddhism is not a pessimistic religion. So there is a very important the statement that Buddhism is neither pessimism nor optimism. So Buddhism is going on the middle. We are following the middle path. That's why we are not going on these extremes. We have excluded such type of the extremes. That's why we are searching for the happiness too. So the sources of the happiness. We need the sources. There are different type of sources in the world. How we find out such? So in first, it is metta bhavaitan cittang. Mind that is cultivating the quality of the loving kindness. The quality of the loving kindness. Mind is always cultivating. Mind can be developed. We have some faculties. Chakku, sota, ghana, jivha, kaya, mana. How many faculties can be developed? Chakku can be developed. Eye can be developed. Once we develop the eye, we can receive the divine eye. That is called Dibba Chakku. Once we develop the ear, sota, we can receive the divine ear, Dibba Sota. Ghana, Jivha, Kaya, these are not developed. We cannot develop our tongue, our nose, our body cannot be developed. But finally, mind can be developed. This is what important fact given in the Buddhism. So therefore, we have to cultivate the quality of the loving kindness. Therefore, Buddhism mentions that mettang bhavaitan cittang. We have to cultivate the loving kindness throughout our mind. Mind also always shaking, Pandanan chapalan chittang. Always searching for the faculties. This is the way, but we can cultivate. The second statement is the important. Sabba sankhara sukhani. What is the sabba sankhara sukha? The happiness or joy that arises from the experience of all conditioned things. We accumulate something throughout our conditioned things. Sankhara. You know, sabbe sankhara anicca, sabbe sankhara dukkha, sabbe dhamma anatta. There are three main statements in the three characteristics. Anicca, dukkha, anatta. Sabbe sankhara anicchati yada panyaya pasati. There is another statement. Sabbe sankhara anicchati. Every conditioned things are impermanent. Sabbe sankhara anicchati. Conditioned things. Anicca, impermanent. Yada panyaya pasati. If one knows throughout the wisdom, Ata nibbindati dukke, then he is disgusted with the suffering. Esa maggo visuddhya, this is path to purity. So this is the path that we have to show, that we have to make clear. Then we identify the anicca, impermanence, the relation to the dukkha, the finally non-self. This is how we are going to study the three characteristics. So conditioned things are important because as ordinary people, we have like that of experience. So we have to know that if one knows the such types of the defilements, things, factors, then easily we can deprive from those things. So this is way how we have to identify finally Nibbana. Not only that, in this context of the Metta, it refers to the happiness that arises from the mind's transformation through loving kindness. Transformation through loving kindness. So this is how Buddhism priority is given to the Metta. So how we cultivate, because when we come to the Metta, Karuna, Mudita and Upekka, later on we are going to discuss on that. So the priority is given to the Metta. If we do not have loving kindness, we cannot cultivate the compassion. There is a relationship between compassion and the loving kindness. Once we identify the loving kindness, then easily we can go to the next step. No matter who you are, no matter what you are, no matter where you are. This is the way that we have to identify as given in the discourses. So this is the way how we identify the discourse. So let's see what the commentators mention on that. Why we are going to identify the formulas of the commentators? Who are the commentators? So some people mention that why we need the commentaries? We have discourses. All discourses are preached by the Buddha. Then why we need the commentaries? Commentaries are important to identify, to know what Buddha not mentioned. Commentators mention there are difficult words, statements, difficult place, and also we need to know some philosophical issues and also doctrinal disputes. There are so many. So how we identify them? We can identify throughout the commentaries. Here commentator, the main commentator is the Venerable Buddhaghosa. Venerable Buddhaghosa was born in India. And also he goes to the Sri Lanka, and in the 5th century BC, then he compiled the many commentaries regarding the Pali Tipitaka. The Dhammapada is the Pali text, commentary is the Dhammapadatta Katha. What Dhammapadatta Katha mentions on that? This happiness not bound to sensory pleasures or the external world, but comes from the deep inner peace that arises when the mind is free from hatred, ill will and attachment. So this can we identify throughout the inner peace. The most important is the inner peace. How we make it? As ordinary people, we do not have the inner peace. But we are searching for the outer peace. So if we do not have inner peace, how we identify the outer peace? So first we have to identify ourselves. Buddha mentions that imasmin eva bhyama matte kalebare lokancha panyapemi. Loka samudayancha panyapemi, loka nirodhancha panyapemi, loka nirodhagamini patipadancha panyapemi. So in this fathom-lone body, I proclaim the suffering. So world is this, the fathom-lone body that we have today. We have to understand world as this. In fact, we have to know who we are. If we know that, the way of this life, then we have inner peace. The another point, on the other hand, we have to know what type of defilements we have as well. It is not quite easy to understand what are the defilements we have. Normally, how many defilements we have? Let's go the kilesa. Defilements mean the kilesa. In Sanskrit, it's called the klesha. So, have you counted ever? Buddhism has counted all the defilements we have. In number, 1,500 defilements we have. 1,500 defilements. So, the once we realize the Dhamma, we eradicate all these 1,500 defilements. Otherwise cannot. When we realize the Sotapanna, 25%, it's only 25% we eradicate. When we come to the Sakadagami, 50%. Anagami, 75%. 75%. Then Arahant, final step, 100%. This is how we are going to eradicate all the defilements. But unfortunately, we have not been able to eradicate at least 25. I mean the 25%. Because we are not so far the Sotapanna. So this is how. So if one can eradicate the 25%, they have the inner peace. They have loving kindness. They are cultivating that. So this is how we are going to cultivate. And also free from hatred, ill will and attachment. These are the three main defilements that we have to eradicate one day in order to be Arahanto Buddha. So what is the difference between hatred and the ill will? Hatred is called the dosa. Lobha dosa moha. Hatred is the dosa. Ill will, vyapada. In Pali we say ill will is the vyapada. So what is lobha? Lobha is the root cause of the unwholesome activities. That is a root cause. Everybody has. When we give dana, we try to eradicate, we try to deprive for that moment only. Afterward, again it comes, it follows. It is a root cause, sometimes prevent our wholesome activities. Everybody has. What about the ill will, vyapada? What is the most dangerous one? Either hatred or ill will. So most dangerous one is the ill will. It goes samsara to samsara, vyapada, more than hatred, not like getting angry, not like hot temper. So always we are getting angry as well, considering the situation. So it can happen, but ill will is not like that. It's more than that. So if we do not have the inner peace, that means we have hatred, we have ill will, as well as the attachment. We are attached, we have bond, we have relationship. That's why we have some type of the problems, issues in the world. Otherwise we don't have any issues. So the many outside issues we follows. Personally, we don't have so many problems. We have few problems. But we follow the outside issues and the problems, and we take as I, my and myself. So that is the cause for the issues and the problems. Okay. Cultivation of metta leads to happiness. So you suppose that if one says that I'm not happy, I'm not happy these days, I'm not okay, that means there is a problem with the cultivation of the metta. If we have metta, loving kindness, friendliness, not only for ourselves, but also towards this world, finally we spread this loving kindness towards the world, being of the world. This is what our final responsibility. Then what happens when we cultivate it, when it leads to happiness? It's rooted in the purity of the mind. The finally Buddha says that esa maggo visuddhya, this is path to purity. How we gain the purity as well? It is not quite easy task anyway. It is not simple. We have to endeavor much to gain that. That is the purity. That is the liberation. That is the emancipation. This is what we are going to search for. This is what we are going to realize as our final goal. Therefore, we need the purity. There is a very interesting book, Path of Purification. Have you heard that? Visuddhi Magga. Visuddhi Magga, Path of Purification. What are the paths for the purification? There are 7 paths. They are called the Sapta Visuddhi, 7 purifications. The first we start with the Sila, then we follows the other paths, finally we understand the liberation. This is how we have to understand the Nibbana. So in order to identify the Nibbana, we have to cultivate the loving kindness with regard to the text as well as the commentaries. How we gain the happiness, how the cultivation of the metta leads to the happiness with regard to the mettang bhavaitan cittang sabba sankhara sukhani. Is it clear? Let's go to the next one. This is also from Dhammapada. Mettam bhavaitan cittan sukhang assa vipassitang. This is another statement. Mettam bhavaitan cittang. He who practices the loving kindness sleeps in peace, awakens in peace. On the other hand, Mettanisamsa Sutta also reflect the same idea. If we practice the loving kindness, sleeps in peace, awakens in peace. This is what we need to know. This is what we need in our day-to-day life. So how it helps for the inner peace and the outer peace, and finally how it helpful for the Nibbana. Mettam bhavayitam chittang. That means that is a positive and wholesome mental state. That's a mental state. That is the important fact. The loving kindness is the mental state that we can develop. That is not only a mere concept in the Buddhism. There's a deep concept because we have to cultivate. Not only that, we have to gain the happiness, and finally we have to understand as a wholesome mental state. So wholesome and the merit, there are two words, punya and kusala. Have you heard that? When we give dana, Bhante say that this is a good merit. So another thing, it is also a wholesome activity. What is the difference between merit and the wholesome? Sometimes we cannot identify either this is merit or wholesome. We do not have the deep sense of that meaning. And also we do not have empirical knowledge to know objectively what is this, how to differ from each other. This is also what we have to consider. So why we need merits? Merits make our life successful in this samsaric journey. It gives many things. Once we receive those things as consequences, then we are happy and also our life is successful. But if one thinks that when I stop this samsaric journey, the world is established in suffering, dukkhe loko patittito, then if it is dukkha or suffering, one day we have to eradicate it. We have to stop that. How we stop this samsaric life, samsaric journey? We don't know from where we have already started. We don't know our destination. We are going on this journey. Nobody knows from where we have come here. Nobody knows. We don't know our previous lives. We don't know our destination as well. When we are going to stop this samsaric journey, we don't know. Without knowing, we are going on this journey as well. We have to think. In order to recognize the stopping of this way of journey, we have to accumulate the wholesome activities. That is kusala. If one thinks that now enough, I have to stop this life, stop this journey, we have to cultivate the wholesome activities. That is called the kusala. There are 10 kusala, 10 wholesome activities we have to cultivate, we have to develop. This is how we are going to searching for the Nibbana. So this is one such. Then when we practice, when we cultivate the Metta, we can develop goodwill, benevolence towards the all beings. Metta is important not only for our friends, not only for our siblings, not only for our relatives. We have to spread this mental state towards the all beings in the world, seen or not seen. So this is the important fact. This is how we have to cultivate our mental statement. It's a mental state that we have to cultivate. Then we are able to spread this mental state towards the all beings in the world. We have to think. This is how finally we understand how the strength of this metta or the loving kindness. We start from ourselves. Because if we do not spread the loving kindness towards ourselves, we cannot go for others. Cannot. We have to start from our place. Then gradually we develop, we spread this mental state. So this is the important place. Sometimes when we see the battle or the war in the Ukraine, Palestine, how people are killing, how people are injured. So we feel that how sympathetic situation in the world now. World is changed. People are killing each other. People try to invade the other properties of the people. Or like that we feel. In that sense, if we can spread our loving kindness towards the all beings, then we can gain happiness, and also we can give happiness to the others. So this is also one such. Buddha always advises to the people, Mettang chittang bhavehi. This is a good statement. Always we have to keep in our mind. Mettang chittang bhavehi. Cultivate a mind of loving kindness. Buddha advises. Mettang chittang bhavehi. We have to cultivate. That is our main responsibility and the duty. This is what we have to do. The direct instruction to cultivate the mind of loving kindness, emphasizing that it is a practice that must be developed throughout the efforts and the regular application. If we do not effort to do that, nobody can develop or cultivate. We have to try hard. You suppose that when you sit on the floor to concentrate our mind, it is not easy. Always come into the different type of defilements, kilesa, different type of thoughts. Always come into our mind. Then we are following those objects. So it is not quite easy to control our mind. It is not easy to restrain our mind. So how we cultivate the mental state? It is not easy. We have mind and also we have thoughts. So always making some issues between mind and the thoughts. How many thoughts we have? Generally, according to the Abhidhamma Pitaka, we have 52 thoughts. Thoughts are called the Cetasika. In Abhidhamma, the first instruct the Chitta, mind. Secondly, Cetasika, thoughts. We have to control not only the mind, but also the thoughts. So we have 52 thoughts, we have to restrain them too. It is not easy, it is not quite easy, but we have to do that. There is no other alternative ways to cultivate our mental states. So we must have that effort. So the commentaries mention then the cultivation of metta purifies the mind. Purifies the mind. That is the most important. Our mind is not purified because we are ordinary people. We have hatred, we have delusion, we have illusion, we have greedy, we have conceit. There are many types of defilements we have. That's why our mind is not purified as well. It's not purified. Always we have some sort of problems in our mind. We are complicated. We are confused. Sometimes we do not have problems, but our mind is confused. That's the way of mind. So sometimes we also feel, why I am confused today? No any matters. But we are confused. We are complicated. That is the way of life because our mind is not purified. So commentators mention that if one can develop the loving kindness, they can make their mind purify. Then problems not occur. Another thing is removes harmful emotions. Why people kill each other? Why people fight each other? Why people have some sort of problems? Why people do not smile? Why they are confused? Because some people have the harmful emotions. The harmful emotions are related to the dosa, hatred. That's related to the dosa charita. Some characters are related to the hatred. Always quarreling with each other. Always making problems. Then we do not have the peace, inner peace, not in the outer peace. So this is how we have to understand how we remove our harmful emotions. Because we are humans. We can remove them. For example, some animals cannot remove their harmful emotions. When they get angry, directly they show their anger. They show their anger. But what about ourselves? Sometimes we do not show our anger, but we think that one day when time comes, I will show my anger. When time comes, we are waiting for that. So this is the way of human beings. But animals are not like that. When they get angry, they bark, they bite. So they show their anger, but we are not like that. This is the way of humans. But anyway, finally we have to remove our harmful emotions. In order to do that, first we have to cultivate the loving kindness. Metta parabhavang na karoti. Loving kindness does not lead to harm. People do not make any harm if they cultivate the loving kindness. So why people invade the countries? Why people try to harm others? People do not think of others. People always think of themselves only. So that is called the selfish. People think of them, everything for us. Everything for our family, everything for our country, everything for our people, like that. With regard to our attachment, we feel like that. We have that emotion. Therefore, we do not have the happiness. Therefore, if one develop the loving kindness, it does not lead to harm. They are very peaceful one. They have good concentration. They smile. And also they talk loudly. They talk loudly. This is how the Buddhism emphasizes how to cultivate the metta loving kindness. The practitioners that the practice of loving kindness will never lead to negative outcomes. We are able to be the positive. Some of them are negative, pessimistics. Pessimist always think of the negative parts. We cannot think so. So the ones we think of the negative formulas, that means we are not going to do that. We refuse always. Always we see the part of the negative. So we cannot do that. We must be the positive. Whatever we have to do, positively we have to start or continue. So that's what Buddhism emphasizes. Final one, upekka mettang anurakkati. Equanimity supports loving kindness. The important one is the equanimity, upekka. That means we are not attached to anyone in the world. We see the middle path of the world. That's the upekka, equanimity. You suppose that if we support someone or something, we do not have equanimity anyway. So this is how we have to identify. The relation to the practice of the Brahma Viharas. You know the Brahma Viharas, 4 divine abodes. Brahma Vihara. Metta, Karuna, Mudita and Upekka. The final statement is the Upekka statement, the equanimity. That is the neutralism. We are going on the neutral. We do not go to any extremes. In the first sutta of the Buddha, that is called Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, Buddha excluded all the extremes in the world. There were 62 extremes in the time of the Buddha. 62. All the extremes. Buddha listed them in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. So then Buddha excluded. Once we practice those extremes, we are not able to achieve the liberation. So we have to exclude them. This is what we have to do. Therefore, equanimity is the most important concept in the Buddhism. When we consider the 6 contemporary teachers' teachings, they do not support to the equanimity. Like Purna Kassapa, Ajita Kesa Kambala, Sanjay Bellatiputta, Nigantanataputta, they are the main teachers who were in the time of Buddha. They are called the contemporary teachers. The Purna Kassapa and other people, they do not believe anything. They are called the Akiryavadins. They were following the non-actions, Akiryavada, non-actions. They do not believe the consequences. They do not believe anything. The Brahmajala Sutta mentions that the Natti Mata, Natti Pita. Even they did not believe mother and father. They did not believe. Natti Sukata Dukkatanam Kammanam Palang Vipako. Whatever we do as good, there is no consequence as good. Whatever we do bad, there is no consequence as bad. That is the way of non-actions. Akiryavada, Buddha excluded. Buddha does not believe such type of extremes. Somebody mentions that if one kills a person using a sword, cut the neck, there is no sin. What happens? They mentions that so only the tool has gone through the neck. That is not a sin. That is the non-actions theory in the world. There are four main teachers believed this non-action theory in the time of Buddha. They mentioned that the sword went through the neck, that means through the 5 aggregates. The human being means the 5 aggregates only. Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana. The sword has gone throughout these 5 aggregates, nothing else. They are harmful. That philosophy is harmful to the world. They told that there is no sin in the world, only that action, but no results. This is how harmful the thoughts came to the world in the time of Buddha. They are extremes. But Buddhism says that you have to cultivate the loving kindness. You cannot make harm to the world, at least for yourself. Buddhism does not allow to the suicides, does not allow, that's harmful ourselves. Then what about the others? That is also same. So this is how we identify the upekkha or equanimity. So this described, this equanimity described being essential for the development of the mind that is serene, balanced, and free from the defilements of attachment and aversion. So this is how we develop our mind. Finally we gain the knowledge. That knowledge is called the empirical knowledge. The most important knowledge in the Buddhism is the empirical knowledge, anubhutivada jnana, anubhuti jnana. So this is the knowledge that we have to gain by the development of the mind only. We have to develop. Otherwise we can gain the substantial knowledge throughout the reading the books and also listening to the Dhamma, and also like that there are many the paths how to gain the knowledge. But the problem is they are not helpful to gain our final goal. We develop our mind. Once we develop our mind and made the atomic bomb, that is also the mind development. After development, they made the atomic bomb. That is all. In order to make that bomb, they need the knowledge. But that knowledge was harmful to the world. What of the empirical knowledge? We do not harm to any insect in the world. We do not even kill the mosquitoes. You do not kill, huh? Even in the dream. We do not kill. That is the way of the Buddhism. So our knowledge we use for the peace in the world. And we believe the rights of the people and also the environment, animals, trees, creepers. So we believe they also have rights. This is how we cultivate our mind. This is how we develop our mind. Therefore, inner peace we gain throughout this way. Therefore, the prominent way is given to the loving kindness in the Buddhism as well. The cultivation is not quite easy, but we must have that effort to follow up the equanimity or loving kindness. Okay, let's go to the identify what is loving kindness according to the Buddhism in brief. This has a mode of friendliness. Loving kindness, on the other hand, we can say this is the friendliness. We have to make friends to the world, to the environment, to the animals, to the trees. We must make that friendliness for its characteristic. So we have to identify the own characteristics and the common characteristics of the world. Once we identify the own and the common characteristics, we do not make harm to the world. Everybody has their own characteristics. Own characteristics. We have 4 elements. Do you know the elements? Dhatu. Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo. There are 4 elements in the Buddhism. So the first one is Patavi, earth element. Earth element. This earth element has own characteristics and also the common characteristics. What is the own characteristic of the earth element? The Buddhism says that is the hardness. Kakkalattang. This is stable. How we identify as stable? This is heart. This is Patavida, collection of the heart. Patavi. This is earth. Therefore, we feel as heart. How we identify this is heart? That is the own characteristic of the earth element. Likewise, who we are. What are our characteristics? Some of them are generous. Some of them are hatred. Some of them are jealous. There are different. Those are the things that they have. They are their own character. That's why we identify as them. This person is good, he is generous. This is his own characteristic. I don't like him. Why? He has no good qualities. That is his characteristic. This is how we separate the people. If we identify the good own characteristics, we try to make friendship with him or with her. If we feel that he does not have the good characteristics, then we try to release from him. Therefore, everything and everybody has own characteristics as well. And also we have the common characteristics. What are the common characteristics of the world? With regard to Buddhism, we have 3 main common characteristics. They are anicca, dukkha and anatta. Impermanence, suffering and non-self. In the 3 characteristics, what we are going to know? First, we are going to know the common characteristics without considering the own characteristic of the elements. That is the problem that we are studying in the 3 characteristics. This is how we have to study the Buddhism gradually. So likewise, we have to identify the friendliness for its characteristics. Either it is own or common. First, we are going to know the own characteristics of the world. Finally, common. Even though this table is hard, this is impermanence. This does not remain last as well. As a result of that, it makes suffering. Finally we understand there is nothing in the world. There is anatta. There is no self. There is no soul in the world. This is the final understanding of the world. So this is the way of the doctrines. So as we don't know the objectively what are those, we are confused. Therefore we say that there are many philosophical issues and the doctrinal disputes in the Buddhism. Because gradually we have to know the objectively what is this concept, then how it related to the others. Likewise we have to know gradually. There are gradual trainings in the Buddhism. Gradual trainings. So even when Buddha preaches Dhamma, he has a gradual instructions. Dana kata, sila kata, sagga kata, likewise. Gradually he starts from dana, how it helpful for the sila, then how it helpful for the sagga, then how we try to identify the detachment like this? We have to understand and gradually. Therefore, there are many gradual trainings in the Buddhism. For example, if I say that Dana, Sila, Bhavana, they are the gradual trainings. Without practicing Dana, nobody can observe the Sila. Therefore, priority is given to the Dana. If one does not practice the Sila, nobody can practice the meditation. But people always looking for the meditation. So we cannot meditate without following Dana and Sila, because they are gradual trainings. Then if one practices the Sila, virtue, moral conduct, then Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Then he goes to the concentration, finally he obtains the wisdom. So these are the gradual trainings that we have to follow one day. Without understanding those gradual trainings, nobody can achieve the Nibbana, because gradually we have to understand. If we wish to meditate without following others, we are not successful. This is how we have to know the gradually what Buddhism is. What is the natural function of the loving kindness? Natural function. Natural function is to promote friendliness. Friendliness. For example, if I say that when other teachers come to the Buddha, what Buddha do? Buddha smiles with them first. They come to the Buddha, but Buddha smiles with them first. Then Buddha said, welcome, Swagatavadi. Buddha welcome them. What about ourselves? You suppose that you are in the house, someone comes to you, then who has to smile first? You have to smile first with them. You have to welcome them, because they come to you. Then they will smile in return. This is what Buddha did. Then Buddha says, welcome, Swagatavadi. This is how Buddha gathered with the other teachers. They appreciated Buddha. Why? Buddha is the teacher who realized the Dhamma. He has a good understanding on this. And also, Buddha helps others to eradicate the defilements. But he is a supernatural person. He follows the general things as the teacher. That's why they appreciate that Buddha is like this. Therefore, we have to appreciate the Buddha. So therefore, the loving kindness, if we have the loving kindness, it promotes the friendliness. All the people who gathered in the world are the friends. We do not have enemies. This is how we have to think. If we think that all are enemies, we have suspicion, we have doubts. Either he is a friend or enemy or something like that. We cannot identify the people. We think as enemies, as friends, like that. Anyway, we cannot identify the human beings finally. But we have to think as friends, without considering male or female or something like that, educated or not educated. So all are the friends that promote throughout the loving kindness. So we can disappear the ill will. Ill will is the vyapada. We have to develop the goodwill. We have to eradicate the ill will. Once we follow the loving kindness, we can eradicate the ill will. So it eliminates finally. That is the path of purity. This is how we have to understand throughout the discourses. So this is what we discussed the earlier, Brahma Vihara. These four, Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekkha. So this is the place we are given, the prominent place given in the Buddhism, 4 kinds of contemplation. There are different types of contemplation. For example, if I say that Satipatthana, Kaya-anupassana, Vedana-anupassana, Chitta-anupassana and the Dhamma-anupassana, they are also contemplations. We have to contemplate on body. We have to contemplate on our feelings as well. We have to contemplate on Dhamma, fundamental teachings. Then what is the mind? We have to contemplate on that. This is how we have to identify as objectively. So these contemplations are important. So in the Buddhism, as Brahma Vihara, that the developed sound is given to this. As I mentioned earlier, there is a relationship between Metta and Karuna. So once we practice Metta, the another gradual training comes under this, that is the compassion. Then when we practice the compassion, we must have the gladness at one's success. That is the most the difficult task anyway. If we can make gladness at one's success, that is called the mudita. The generally parents do that. In fact, everybody should practice this mudita. When we see others are the making success, and also others are developing in the world, they are good, something like that, we must be happy. Once we see them, that is called the mudita. Upekkha we have already discussed equanimity. They are the gradual trainings. First we have to spread the loving kindness. Then we develop the compassion. Then we see this world as friends, mudita. We happy once we see their happiness or the development, that is mudita. Finally we have equanimity. We are in the neutral. We don't have any sort of problems or attachment or the detachment. We do not have. This is how we identify throughout the Brahma Vihara. So this is my final session. Mettanisamsa Sutta, priority is given to this because Metta is the name of that sutta. Mettanisamsa. Anisamsa means the consequences. Metta means the loving kindness. What is the results? What are the effects of the metta or the loving kindness? Is it useful? We have to think that how we gain that the consequences for our day-to-day life, and finally how we develop our spiritual life. So this is how we have to know. So this is how the all suttas usually starts in the discourses. This is what Buddha said according to this. Monks, from the freedom of mind by loving kindness meditation, mettaya bhikkave ceto vimuttiya. This underlying word is the most important statement in this sutta. Ceto vimutti. freedom of mind. From the freedom of mind. What is the Cheto Vimutti? There are two main concepts in the Buddhism. One is Cheto Vimutti, second one is Panya Vimutti. So they are discussed in the Abhidhamma Pitaka. It is not pretty easy to understand for the ordinary people. They are the deep concepts in the Buddhism. But we have to understand what is Cheto Vimutti, what is Panya Vimutti. So the most important thing is Cheto Vimutti we can gain throughout the Samatha meditation. Samatha meditation. Samatha meditation is tranquility meditation. So we can say serenity of the meditation. Samatha. On the other hand, it can formulate as the mind meditation, Chitta Bhavana. Samatha meditation is the mind meditation, Chitta Bhavana. Meditation is the Bhavana. How we develop the mind? When we practice Samatha meditation, we can develop our mind. This is how we can develop our mind. That is called the Samatha meditation. That is Samatha. But people wish to follow the Vipassana. There are so many Vipassana meditation centers in the world. But there is a relationship between Samatha and the meditation. Once we develop our mind, easily we can understand the world. That is the Vipassana. That is called the insight meditation. Insight meditation. The once we develop our mind, we know what world is. Then we gain the knowledge. That knowledge is not attached with the worldly world. So this is how we can develop our mind and the wisdom. So once we develop the wisdom, we will not born again. We will not born. Because we have already eradicated our whole defilements. No any other problems. Once we practice the Vipassana meditation. So Cheto Vimutti, that is a jnana, knowledge, we can gain throughout the Samatha meditation tranquility. So everybody practices the loving kindness. But why we cannot gain the results? The problem is we have to practice throughout the Samatha meditation. Based on the Samatha. That's why the first word is given Cheto Vimutti. So you suppose that in the morning after waking up, we spread the loving kindness every day. Before go to the sleep, we can spread the loving kindness. And also when we are free, we can spread the loving kindness. But did we receive any result? Not yet. What is the problem? The problem is we have to based on the Samatha meditation. Tranquility meditation. This is how we have to start. We have to know the relationship between Samatha and the loving kindness. That's why it is given Cheto Vimutti. Then we have to practice hard. How? Asevitaya, bhavitaya, baulikataya, yanikataya. This is how we have to practice. First we have to practice. Then when we practice, we can develop. Once we develop, we can make it much. Then once we made it much, we can carry on. This is the gradual development. Gradual development. Because the basement is the Samatha meditation. This is how we have to continue loving kindness according to the Buddhism. First we have to practice, then we develop it, then we made much of. So today we practice, then next week again we try to practice. Cannot. We have to make it much. Make it much. Bahuli kataya. Bahuli kataya. Time and again we have to practice. We cannot forget. I am spreading the loving kindness. We have to carry on that. Not only that, we have to establish. We have to maintain. We have to maintain it. Always we have to keep in our mind, I am spreading the loving kindness towards all beings of the world. This is how we are going to maintain our loving kindness. So for example, if we have harmful thoughts, we cannot maintain it. We have to eradicate like that of the bad defilements, bad thoughts, then we can maintain always. Then augmented and properly instigated susamaradhaya. This is how we have to develop the loving kindness towards the beings of the world. Then once we practice loving kindness, there are 11 advantages, as you know. 11 advantages. But we have to know how to practice, how to develop, how we achieve our final goal throughout this way. Without knowing, we cannot continue. So if one thinks that, okay, today I will practice, the next time also I will practice, then once you know the advantages, so why I spend my time for this, I did not gain any result. Is it a fault of Buddhism? No, we have to know what is the path, correct path. What is the correct path to practice the meditation? I mean the loving kindness, how to spread towards the world. So this is how. Okay, we have few minutes more. So these are the advantages of the loving kindness finally. He sleeps happily, wakes up happily. So this is the one thing that we have to practice. Sometimes we cannot sleep well. So once we sleep, we cannot awake well. So if we have the loving kindness, we sleep well. Not only that, we wake up happily. The another thing also important, does not see the bad dreams. Sometimes even though we are sleeping, we see the bad dreams. We are sometimes screaming, sometimes we are showing our bad things even in the dream. So the once we practice the loving kindness, no any bad dreams in the night. And also he is dear to the human beings. So some people don't like someone. Some says that he is no good, I don't like him. I don't have any problem with him, but I don't like him. We feel like that. So the problem is the loving kindness, how they spread. They are not friendly with others. Sometimes conceit, prideness. They feel that we are the highest, others are lowest. We are the educated, others are not educated. So we are from such family, others are in the normal family, like that. We have that conceit, mana. So thinking such thoughts, we feel that he has conceit, he has a prideness, therefore we don't want any friendship with them. So nobody dear to that person. So they do not think equanimity. Think of that equanimity. So that's one. Not only the human beings, but also the non-human beings. In the world, there are many problems of the spirits, non-humans. People are scared on the non-humans. Some believe that they make harm. Sometimes they believe that they do not allow to live in peace. They make harm. They make some sounds. Like that of things that some people feel. Such thoughts. But if we spread the loving kindness, there is no any problems from the non-humans, even though they are invisible. We scared of the invisible insects. We are visible. We can see each other. But the non-humans are invisible. Therefore, we are afraid of them. We must afraid of the people who appear before us. Not to the invisible. We don't know what they do. But they can't do anything. We are the powerful. We have the good concentration. We have the developed mind. We can think carefully. Therefore, we do not have any problems with the humans and the non-humans, because we are good, we have good qualities, we have developed, therefore we do not have any problems in the world. And also the deities, gods, they protect, because we transfer the merits for them. So Buddha also instructed them in the Ratana Sutta, Divacha rattocha haranti ye balin tasma hi nerakkata appamatta. Once you receive the merits from the human being, your main duty to protect them. Divacha rattocha, day and night you receive the merits from the human beings. Because once we accumulate the merits, we transfer them. Gods and the deities. Therefore, they must protect us. If we have the loving kindness, if we develop, cultivate, or they spread the loving kindness, definitely they will protect you. Devata Rakkanti. And also, nobody can destroy others. Nobody can deprive their lives. The immune from fire, poison, and the sword. Nobody can kill others, because they have the loving kindness. They have practiced. No any other for the problems from the fire, and also with the poison, and also no any other problems from the tools like sword. Nobody can make them harm. So this is also one such important fact given here. Another thing is concentrate quickly. This is quite difficult for the human being. For example, you suppose that you are sitting on the floor to meditate, but it is not easy. It is not quite easy. You cannot concentrate quickly. You need much time to concentrate. You have to deprive your thoughts, bad thoughts. Always come into your mind, those bad thoughts. Always you have to identify one by one. You have to exclude them. We are fighting with the mind. Practicing of meditation is not quite easy, because we cannot concentrate well. But once you practice, once you cultivate the loving kindness, you can concentrate very quickly within few seconds. Within few seconds, you can concentrate well. So this is also one such. The ninth one is very important. Facial expressions is beautiful. So some people, we say that he handsome, beautiful, some people ugly, but it depends. So the handsome or the beautiful is depends. Somebody says that they are not beautiful like that. It depends. But the facial expression is the important. It's sometimes it would be the personality, the human personality. So how we gain that? Once we practice the loving kindness, their facial expression is beautiful, clear and bright. Mukhavanno vipasidati. Vipasidati means the clear and bright. When we see someone, he is differ from the others. For example, how we choose the Miss World, Miss Universe, how we select, all are beautiful. How we select one or two, it is not easy. But in the world, one appear once a year. So this is also one thing that we have to consider. How their facial expressions, beautiful, clear and bright. They must be the good, cultivated, good-hearted people. Good-hearted people. So the ones we are the bad-hearted people, hard-hearted people, our facial expression would be grey. When we get angry, our facial expression would be changed. So, for example, what about the hot-tempered? Always their facial expressions are changing. So, this is like a cloud, like a black cloud. So that's why we have to show our facial expressions, because the people identify that I is a good-hearted person. He has good the friendship, so loving kindness, compassion. Then if we develop such things, such concepts, so our facial expression would be changed. Final one is asammulho kalang karoti. Peaceful death. We pray for the peaceful death. That is our final wish. We need a peaceful death. No matter where it is. No matter in the hospital or in the house or anywhere. We need a peaceful death. How we gain that? Some of them are crying, some of them are shaking, some of them are doing many things, something like that. Somebody doesn't want to die. Some of them are scared of death. So there are different feelings. But finally, we would have the peaceful death with regard to the loving kindness. The final one, if we fail to attain arahantship, that is our final goal. We need to gain the arahantship. We have 3 levels, Buddha, Pacceka Buddha and the Arahant, according to the Theravada Buddhism. Being a Buddha is not easy task. That is for only one person. He must practice the perfections, paramitas. In Theravada Buddhism, we have 10 paramitas, perfections. We have to follow them. So as Bodhisattva, he has to follow the 10 perfections. As a result of that, finally, he gain the enlightenment. This is one such. Otherwise, they can be the Pacceka Buddha, they call the partial Buddhas. That is also a Buddhahood, differ from the enlightened one. The Buddha is called the fully enlightened one. But the Pacceka Buddha is the half. So their understanding is okay, no any problems, and also their eradication of the defilements also okay, but they do not preach them. They are silence Buddhas. They are silence. Pacceka Buddhas mean the silence Buddhas. They do not preach what they understood. But the arahantship is another one. Their understanding is okay. They have eradicated all the defilements, as well as they preach Dhamma. They show the path to the people. That is the way of arahantship. There are many arahants in the time of Buddha. So Buddhism says that the world is not empty with the arahants. World is not empty of the arahants. We don't know who are the arahants in the world. Nobody mentions or nobody says, I am the arahant, something like that. So they are silent, but they show the path how to eradicate the defilements. So if one does not have to gain the arahantship, here and now he will be reborn in the blissful realm of Brahma. They will born in the Brahma world. So in that place they will attain the Nibbana. This is how the advantages of the loving kindness. So I think these are important facts. So finally we can say that Buddhism fosters compassion, reduces suffering, promotes inner peace. So these are the important facts: loving kindness and compassion, equanimity. So these are the good the qualities if we can practice. So they are not hard. Everybody can practice. And also, if one practices this, the loving kindness and the compassion, something like they helpful for the cultivation of the positive emotions. No negative emotions. We neglect the negative emotions, and also lead into the greater emotional resilience and the healthier relationship. We must have the mutual understanding with the beings in the world. No any other issues among us. So ultimate benefit is the development of the compassionate mind that transcends self-centeredness. That means finally it would be helpful for our Nibbana. So final bliss of Nibbana, this is our final goal. With regard to the practicing of those things, definitely we are able to gain the final bliss of Nibbana. Okay, thank you very much for listening to me. Okay. Okay, we have few minutes for the lunch. Okay, sure. So before that, we can discuss whatever you have as issues or any clarifications.
Good morning, Bhante. First of all, thank you very much for the very organized and insightful talk. I have one question regarding metta meditation. You mentioned that in Buddhism, empirical knowledge is the most important thing. I think which is very good. I'm kind of exposed to metta meditation. People teaching metta meditation like chanting mantra. May I be happy, may I be well, and all that. There's another method. They're using the very systematic way, called 6-hour method. They try to arise your happy feeling. You also mentioned that for metta meditation to work, you need to practice very consistently and every day, I think, until you got it. But the question is, you practice wrongly, I think you probably won't get it. Even though the saying that practice makes perfect, but you have to make sure that your practice is perfect. Otherwise, I think you'll be practicing, I think, without getting the result. So my question is, which is the correct method and how do we approach doing metta meditation? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that question. So, how to practice the metta meditation? So, according to the list of meditation in the Buddhism, Metta Bhavana or the Metta meditation is the one of the great place given to that Metta meditation. Important fact is everybody can practice without considering the characters. In the Buddhism, when we choose the meditation, first we have to consider who I am. We have to consider our characters. We have 6 characters. Among them, we have to understand who we are and what is the most appropriate meditation for ourselves. But Metta Bhavana is not such a meditation. Everybody can follow. Everybody can follow. And also without teacher or with teacher, you can follow. But there is what you call how to practice. How to practice is to understand. First, you have to focus yourself. The loving kindness is spread towards yourself first. Without considering you, you are unable to spread your loving kindness towards others. First, you focus yourself. May I be free from every sufferings. May I be free from every dangers, like that. First, you have to consider yourself, focus yourself. Sometimes when you focus yourself, that the thought would be changed. Again, you have to concentrate on that. Day by day, you have to concentrate yourself, and gradually you spread to the others. Then, who are the people, members in your family, in your house? Who are the siblings, who are the relatives, who are the friends? Likewise, gradually you have to spread up to the world. But you have to practice hard. As I mentioned earlier, you have to practice according to the discourses. Asevitaya, bhavitaya, bahulikataya. You have to practice, you have to develop. You have to make it hard. It is not quite easy. But you have to do day by day, day by day. You must have that dedication. You must have that enthusiasm to do that. This is how you have to do. You have to practice each and every moment. When you are in free, even on the chair, when you are free on the bed, each and every moment you must be able to practice, because the focusing is clear. I am practicing the Metta meditation. That's why you cannot get anger, you cannot get the hatred, delusion, something like the ordinary people. It can happen, but you have to control them. This is how you have to practice day by day. Abhivadana silissa niccang vaddha pacayino cattaro dhamma vaddhanti ayuvanno sukham balang ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevaca atho nibbana sampatti minate samicchatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you.